Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're decoding the fundamental building blocks of life itself. We're going to take some classic handwritten biological notes and turn them into an absolute journey of microscopic discovery. Let's get right into it. So, what do a giant ostrich egg and the microscopic bacteria currently chilling on your hands have in common? Seriously, take a second and think about it. What could an ostrich egg, something you literally need two hands to hold, possibly share with invisible bacteria? I know it sounds like a trick question, but it's actually the perfect starting point to unlock the invisible universe that's functioning all around us. And, well, inside of us, too. Section 1, the blueprint of life, our shared operating system. To solve our ostrich egg mystery, we first need to look at the universal blueprint that serves as the baseline operating system for all living things. The crucial point here is that all plant and animal cells share standard internal equipment. Whether you're looking at a towering redwood tree or, the person standing right in its shade, your cells are running on the exact same fundamental hardware. You've got the cell membrane keeping everything contained, the cytoplasm filling up the space, a nucleus acting as the central command center, and mitochondria powering the whole operation. Throw in the ribosomes, the ER, the Golgi apparatus, and your DNA, and boom, you have the universal starter kit for life. Looking at these original handwritten source notes really brings it all into perspective, doesn't it? There's just something super cool about seeing these core mechanics written out by hand. This biological baseline proves that no matter how wildly different organisms look on the outside, on the inside, we are all working from the exact same playbook. Section 2, Plant versus Animal Cells, the Great Biological Divide. Because while we do share that essential baseline, plants and animals took completely different evolutionary paths. That shared blueprint eventually splits into a massive divide. Plant cells are essentially these armored, self-sustaining factories. They've got a cell wall made of cellulose to give them a rigid structure and chloroplasts that let them harness the sun to actively make their own food through photosynthesis. Animal cells, on the other hand, they're totally stripped down. No cell wall, no chloroplasts. Without the ability to synthesize our own meals, we depend entirely on consuming other organisms to survive. It's basically the ultimate evolutionary difference between making your own lunch and having to go hunt for it. What's really fascinating is how we can break down these more granular differences. Take a look at the shape comparison. Plants are usually fixed and rectangular, kind of like bricks, while animal cells are round and adaptable. Inside, plant cells have one massive central vacuole mostly to hold water, while ours are small, temporary, or just not existent. And check out the food storage. Plants store it as starch, we store it as glycogen. Down at the cellular level, animal cells are packed with lysosomes to break down waste, and they utilize centrioles for division. Those are tools that plants rarely ever need. Section 3, Pioneers of the Microscopic, the Scientific Relay Race. Knowing all this modern blueprint stuff is fantastic, but how did scientists actually figure this invisible world out in the first place? It was basically a giant scientific relay race across history. Think about how incredible this timeline is. First, Robert Hooke literally writes the book on it, his work Micrographia, where he observes dead cork cambium plant tissue and actually coins the term cell. Then he passes the baton to Leeuwenhoek, who looks through his lenses and sees live cells, protozoa, bacteria, sperm, for the very first time. Later on, Schleiden and Schwann put the conceptual pieces together, realizing that whether you're a single protozoa or a complex multicellular animal, the cell is the ultimate unit of life. This whole era of discovery finally culminated in Virchow's famous theory of cell division, omnis cellula a cellula, which means every single new cell originates directly from a pre-existing cell. It's a brilliant, almost poetic realization. Life doesn't just spontaneously appear out of thin air. It's an unbroken chain of cellular division, passing the spark of life forward through time. Moving on to Section 4, the Cell Record Book, Biological Extremes. Now for the really fun part. Let's flip through the biological record book and see just how extreme these microscopic structures can get. First up, the absolute smallest unit of life recorded in our source material is known as Mycoplasma gallisepticum. This is a tiny type of bacteria that strips the biological blueprint down to its absolute barest minimum. It's literally as tiny as life can possibly be while still functioning completely on its own. But on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the single cell is the massive ostrich egg. This loops right back to our opening question, right? That giant egg, which can weigh over 3 pounds, is quite literally just one single enormous cell. Crazy. And when it comes to sheer physical length, the complex neuron takes the absolute crown. Because nerve cells have to transmit signals across vast distances throughout an animal's body, a single cellular structure can stretch out over incredibly long pathways. It completely defies the idea that cells only ever exist on a microscopic scale. Zooming in specifically on human biology for a second, it's fascinating that our largest cell, the ovum, and our smallest cell, the sperm, are both directly related to reproduction. It's this stunning biological symmetry. The two absolute extremes of human cellular anatomy are the exact two pieces required to create new life. Looking closely at our bloodstream, we see some incredibly specialized shapes. Red blood cells are perfectly defined as biconcave. Think of it like a donut where the hole hasn't been completely punched out. That highly specific inward curve gives the red blood cell the maximum surface area possible. And that is absolutely critical for its main job, which is carrying oxygen through our narrowest blood vessels. In fact, human blood is just this swirling mix of architectural shapes. You've got those biconcave RBCs, outwardly curving biconvex platelets, and completely irregular white blood cells. Each shape is perfectly tailored to its function. The platelets curve outward to help them catch and clot, while the white blood cells have an irregular, shifting shape that allows them to move dynamically to attack foreign invaders in your immune system. But here is the wildest anomaly of all. To do their jobs effectively, both our red blood cells and platelets completely ditch their nucleus. Remember how the nucleus is the command center in our universal blueprint? Well, human biology decided that for these specific cells, space was way more important than a brain. They literally eject their nucleus to make more room to carry oxygen and form clots. It's the ultimate cellular sacrifice for the greater good of your body. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a massive biological mystery based on Virchow's rule. If every single cell is born from an older one, where on Earth did the very first cell originate? If life is just one unbroken chain of division stretching back to the dawn of time, at some point, there had to be a beginning. It's a huge paradox, and it's one that continues to drive scientific discovery to this day. Thanks so much for exploring the invisible universe with me. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.